here in the city of Clinton, where the winds are really picking up right now. As you can see behind me, there are several power lines out here. According to officials, they're telling me that a lot of the city is experiencing power outages because of the effects of Hurricane Florence. In fact, we just left the police department here in downtown Clinton. Even they are without power. I do have some volunteers right here behind me from the Samaritan's Purse. We all know this is an organization that is started by Franklin Graham, a native here in North Carolina. And even this gentleman, he came from Michigan. Some other people are North Carolinians, and they came out here to help people. In the center of downtown Raleigh, on Fayetteville Street, thousands of teachers are out here protesting for more funding.
¿Qué problemas existen en las granjas?
Tenemos problemas con el pago.
The Emergency Operations Center has been open on a 24/7 basis since knowing about Hurricane Florence. Winds by Florence caused large trees like the one right here underneath my foot to snap in half. And take a look at this. A boat is not supposed to be in someone's front yard. In fact, according to the mayor, there was more than $58 million worth of damage done to homes alone. Let me take you around here so you can see more of what I'm seeing out here. Obviously, the rain has stopped just a little bit, but the winds continue to pick up. Here's a church. There's shingles coming off of this church right here as the winds continue to blow through, causing this building to be damaged. A day Catherine Meininger thought would be a step towards her future.
Horrible. I was trying to go back to school then.
Turned into a heartbreaking setback.
The day that I was raped, I had gone and registered for classes for that semester, and I left from campus, and that's when the incident happened. I didn't go back to school because of where it was.
In December of 2011, Meininger says someone she thought was her friend sexually assaulted her.
There was a lot of physical evidence in our case. There was a lot of DNA evidence, saliva, semen. They were able to take pictures. It was kind of humiliating, but I'm glad that we had it documented of tearing in the skin.
But despite the evidence, it took 3.5 years for the state to test her sexual assault kit, which in turn delayed the trial.
I felt like it was almost intentional. Like maybe they're making this so long just to see if I'll just give up and walk away from this.
Meininger is not alone. A recent statewide audit shows more than 15,000 untested sexual assault kits are still sitting on shelves at police precincts in North Carolina. State Crime Lab Director John Bird says his lab cleared its backlog in the early 2000s. Now they're trying to help local police do the same. In order to fix that problem, he says it all comes down to funding.
But with the numbers that we're already seeing that we're ready to test right now, we know we don't have enough funding.
And they're not going to get more money anytime soon. State lawmakers voted down the Attorney General's request for $2 million, which would have been used to test just 2,800 of the 15,000 backlogged kits. Instead, lawmakers passed House Bill 945, which requires the Attorney General's office to develop a plan to test the kits and create a sexual assault evidence collection kit tracking system that will go into effect October 1st. Meininger believes the tracking system isn't the answer.
Hire people to test them. It shouldn't take this long. You know, 3.5 years is way too long.
Representative Ted Davis Jr. sponsored the bill.
You can imagine if it's going to take $2 million to test 2,800 and they're estimated to be 15,000, you're talking about a huge expense. So we want to make sure that the kits that are being tested are tests that can be used.
So for now, thousands of untested kits are waiting to be processed. Each one represents a victim hoping justice will be served.
Think about the members of your family. How long would you want them to wait for justice? And try to put yourself in a survivor's position and think, how long would I want to wait?
Reporting in Raleigh for the CBS 17 Investigators, I'm Felicia Bolton. A powerful weapon, designed by a professional manufacturer, can now be assembled by anyone at home.
We sell unserialized, unregistered AR-15, long-range rifles, Glocks, and we're coming out soon in the near future with AK line.
Ghost guns are sold online across the U.S., and I learned they are not regulated by federal laws. You can purchase the parts and build just about any weapon of your choice.
Right there.
Within hours, it's ready to fire. Although some ghost gun enthusiasts are in favor of these weapons, ghost guns pose serious concerns for many law enforcement agencies. Sergeant Kenneth Bagwell is a Wake County deputy and teacher at the Wake County Firearms Education and Training Center. I met Sergeant Bagwell at the range for a brief training session,
a 9mm to a 40 caliber,
where he walked me through the safety risk of buying these weapons online.
If you don't have a background in assembling firearms or you're not well established in that realm, then absolutely avoid that.
Ghost guns do not have a serial number, and they do not have to be sold by a licensed dealer. Two red flags for law enforcement.
There are too many reputable dealers out there, too many legitimate firearms. If you're looking to purchase a firearm, then go that route. Why would you want to participate in something that could be a criminal violation right off the bat?
One ghost gun vendor based in California declined my request for a Skype interview, but provided this written statement saying in part, "There are many advantages to building your own gun at home. A common drive among all of our builders is that these products tap into an American admiration for self-reliance, homemade, and the privacy that only come with building your own firearm as opposed to buying one." I went to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to get their take on the legality of ghost guns.
If someone sold gun parts online and how to construct a weapon, is this legal?
That is legal. That is legal. It's not regulated by, again, because they're not actually selling a firearm.
ATF Senior Special Agent Gerard King says the legal loophole lies in the receiver. It's the bottom half of the weapon, also known as the frame. He says because ghost gun receivers are unfinished, they do not fall under the Gun Control Act 1968.
An 80% completed receiver or anything less than that, that is not regulated because it has not met the definition of a firearm.
For the CBS 17 investigators, I'm Felicia Bolton.
CBS 17 obtained this press release from a Memphis utility company claiming the mayor of New Bern turned down their offer to help restore power after Florence. Since most of New Bern was still in the dark, we wanted to know why. Turns out there's more to this story.
Just days after Hurricane Florence, recovery for people who lived in New Bern got underway, and those who evacuated returned home to see the damage Florence left behind.
I was just devastated because I know my grandmother had those things for a long time, and some of those things you can't replace.
Debris and cleaning up are two of the main things people of New Bern are concerned about, but another major problem is living without power for several days.
The CBS 17 investigators received claims the mayor of New Bern turned down help days before the hurricane hit. According to Memphis Light Gas and Water, 2 crews were set to leave for New Bern to help. But the mayor of New Bern expressed his sincere appreciation and thanks, but says they will have more than enough crews. That release had us and residents wanting answers.
He definitely shouldn't have turned them away.
So I asked the mayor about MLGW's statement. There was one crew out of Memphis that was told not to come. Why did you tell them not to come?
When prior to a storm or an event like this, the city governing board, we set policy. And a lot of times we are kind of co-running the city, with the staff. But when something like this hits, the alderman, the mayor, we back off.
After making several calls and sending emails, I discovered despite their release, the Memphis utility company never contacted the mayor at all. Their spokesperson corrected their previous statement, telling me in part, MLGW was in communications with the director of public utilities for New Bern, not Mayor Dana Outlaw. And their help was turned down because there were other available crews less than 2 hours away. The mayor says 15,000 of their 22,000 customers had power restored within 2 days.
America has spoken, and I just hope for what everybody's done, I hope every time there's a hurricane somewhere that people are standing up for a little town like people are for New Bern.
I can see it touches your heart.
Well, you're supposed to if you're mayor.
According to the city's media spokesperson, all customers who can be restored are. The remaining ones are homes that were badly damaged and require an electrical repair before service can be restored. At the answer desk for the CBS 17 investigators, I'm Felicia Bolton. As millions across the country celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, CBS 17 wants to highlight everything that makes Hispanic culture important and unique. We begin right here in Central North Carolina, where one group has spent decades protecting the rights of migrant workers, and that work continues to this day. This is their hidden history.
The field is no place for
Viejas.
the elderly or a mother and her small child.
I was working the fields at 6 years old. That in itself is an injustice, right?
But that's exactly where these women found themselves working. Long and excruciating hours for several years.
Al principio estaba bien.
In the beginning, it was good. Everything was good. I liked it a lot. Then later, the harassment started.
Maricela Ruiz says she needs to work in the fields to make ends meet, but was recently forced to quit. She claims her manager sexually harassed her.
He said he was going to give me a massage. Relax. I said, I do not want a massage. I'm fine.
Angelita Morisro says she also experienced abuse while working on a North Carolina farm.
When I came to this state, overall there was a lot of injustice when I would work in the fields. I would work 12 to 14 hours, and at the end of the week, I would only receive $20 for the entire week.
Both women reached out to FLOC, the Farm Labor Organizing Committee, for help. Leticia Zavala leads the Wayne County office.
¿Qué problemas existen en las granjas?
Tenemos problemas con el pago.
We have problems with pay, and sometimes they do not receive the correct pay. There's a lot of sickness because of pesticides, and also there are many problems of sexual assault and children working in fields.
She says migrant workers are often exploited.
Yo vine a Estados Unidos cuando tenía 6 años.
I arrived in the United States when I was 6 years old and started to work in camps. I fought to obtain my education because working in camps is very difficult.
Photos from Oxfam America and FLOC show the conditions some immigrant workers live in: rusted showers, unsanitary bathrooms, and torn down beds. Workers using their bare hands are being exposed directly to chemicals. Problems like these are the very reason Valdemar Velasquez founded FLOC in 1967.
The issue here is powerlessness. The ability to participate in that community of decision making and decisions that affect your life. And if we don't have that right, then we're going to get exploited.
Through a national survey, the Department of Labor reports approximately 80% of all farm workers are Hispanic, most born in Mexico. More than half have proper work authorization. Among the U.S.-born workers like Velasquez, 27% are Hispanic. In the 60s, he joined the civil rights movement and learned the strength of a union. He worked alongside activists like Jesse Jackson to make major headway in farm workers' rights.
That's one of the things that we pioneered back in the 80s with Campbell Soup. We pushed them to negotiate an adjustment of the supply chain standards and wages and prices in order for the farm workers to receive fair wages.
Decades later, the union's focus is connecting with other community leaders to hold workers, farm owners, and major corporations accountable, while also educating the next generation on their rights, giving a voice to those who otherwise wouldn't have one.
And FLOC is still fighting for equal rights in the state. The group is challenging the 2017 North Carolina Farm Act. They argue it impedes farm workers' First Amendment right to participate in unions. FLOC also claims the law is discriminatory since most of the state's agriculture workers are Latino. We have more details about this story on CBS17.com.